or G.
Hi, you're listening to The Cell on WGRN 94.1, brought to you by the Faith Thomas Foundation. Good evening, Faith Thomas family. I want to thank you for tuning in. This is your host, Felice Thomas. My producer today is Ernie Kelly. Hello, Ernie.
Hello.
And my co-host is Chanel Woods. Hello, Chanel.
Hey, it's an honor and a pleasure.
Great. It's an honor and a pleasure seeing you too today.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah. Before we get started, I just wanted our listeners to know that today's show is going to be covering a very serious topic, mental health. And mental health is a common illness. It does not discriminate if you are male or female, or if you're black, white, purple, or blue. Mental health, mental illness does not discriminate. Mental health is a treatable health condition, just like heart disease and diabetes is. However, mental health illnesses does affect a chemical imbalance in our brain and can have some very serious underlying physical manifestations. Some example of mental health illnesses are bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, ADHD, addiction, depression, and anxiety. But just like any other illness, if it's not identified and not treated, it can be fatal. So, as they say, let's get it started. Today our guest is Achea Reed. She's a speaker, writer, and an advocate for women. Achea also blogs, has a podcast called Keeping It Real with Keys, and she is the founder of Real Girls F.A.R.T. But most important, her job is as a wife and a mother. Hello, Achea.
Hey.
We want to thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about mental health surrounding anxiety and depression. But before we really get too deep here with Achea, I want our listeners to know you heard me correct. Her organization's name is called Real Girls F.A.R.T. Okay? But that F.A.R.T is actually an acronym.
Yes.
But I'm having a pleasure with it. Okay, so with that being said, Achea, could you please explain to us how you came up with that being your organization's name?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
You and Chanel are my faves.
Oh,
I said that earlier, and I really mean that
Yeah.
sincerely. I do. But so the name Real Girls F.A.R.T, I get that question a lot because it's very catchy. So initially, started out as a joke between my husband and I. I grew up in a house full of brothers, so those types of conversations and comments were very commonplace.
Yeah, because you did it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And so
I would have fit right in.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. I did fit in.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Like I was not a stranger there at all.
Okay.
So basically, my husband and I was very early in our marriage, and we were talking about something along those lines of what I was just talking to you guys about just now. And I looked at him and I was like, babe, Real Girls F.A.R.T. You married yourself a real woman. Like, I'm a real person. And then I walked out of the room, and within 2 minutes I came back and I was just like, babe, that's a book. And like, it just was one of those ideas that just kind of dropped in my lap. And that was like 7 years ago.
Okay.
And so then, moving forward, like, I never saw it as an acronym. I thought it was just going to be a book, talking about societal norms that are placed upon females. And then, as in 2016, I hit rock bottom, and I've told many of you, my story and how I hit rock bottom, and I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and depression, or GAD, and depression for short. And that changed the whole course of everything. And so then Real Girls F.A.R.T then became a blog, and then so many people were reaching out to me telling me thank you for telling my story. And then the acronym came because a guy on Facebook was following me and gave me all these words, and they just didn't really resonate. So I said, but an acronym would be kind of cool. So my husband, kids, and I were in the airport, and I said, okay, give me all the positive words you think of for F, and then so on and so forth. And I went down, the line with the different letters. And so we came up with fearless, authentic, rescuer, and trailblazer.
could you do me a favor? Because when we just went to one of your events here that
Mm-hmm.
we had, I think it was last week, right, Chanel?
Yeah, so you have Lessons in Vulnerability.
Yeah.
That's your
Mhm.
summer talk series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every Friday. in the
Okay.
summer. Well, once a month.
Once
on
a month.
Fridays.
Yes.
And so with your Fearless, you had almost like an explanation
Mm-hmm.
as far as identifying
Mm-hmm.
a woman for each one of the acronyms, the F,
Yes.
the A, the R,
Mhm.
and the
T.
T. So could you say what those were?
Yeah, so fearless, so to me, like when I look at somebody who's fearless, and each of the words too, I have to say they resonate with me in my journey. So that's why it was just, honestly, to start an organization called Real Girls F.A.R.T, you have to be somewhat fearless.
You do.
Right? You know what I mean?
Tenacious.
Very bold.
Yes.
And so that was the F. And then authentic, again, the organization. And then just always being very true to yourself, very unapologetic for who you are. Despite what society might place on you, despite also, what family, may place on you, culture, if you're black or white, growing up in different households and socioeconomic, that kind of thing can kind of make people identify you a certain way. So that was the authentic part. And then rescuer, obviously, once you find yourself and find out who you truly are and you walk in that authentically, I believe that we are our sister's keepers, right? So I believe that it is an obligation and a duty and a responsibility for all of us as women to support each other and to pay it forward and to go back and to grab those women that need to be, yes. And then trailblazer is to, okay, I'm fearless because I'm being bold and I'm sharing my story, and then I'm authentic in that story. And then I've gone back to grab somebody else, and then together we are going to be trailblazers because we're going to blaze a trail and do something that has never been done before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes me think, wow. So authentic, I find myself in every area just because when you think about just your life, my life as a woman, as a trailblazer, and I would consider myself a trailblazer, especially where my family is concerned, right? I was the first person to graduate from high school and college and and I'm still making history, so to speak, within my family, right? But when you were talking about trailblazer and all of these, the acronym, it made me think. I looked at your website, and there's a quote on your website that says, "Well-behaved women rarely make history."
Yeah, it's my favorite quote.
Oh my goodness, that so resonated with me.
Yeah,
because I can remember as a child thinking that I was relegated to being this young woman who was well behaved and followed the rules. And so right now, today, in the season of your life, what challenges do you still face with that, like breaking the norms and just
well, I mean, so recently, anybody who's following me on Facebook, we just have started launching all of this new content, right? And one of the first launches was a video, and it was meant to grab your attention. And so I got a lot of love, but I also got a lot of not love,
like pushback,
but it was also just people would say things to me like, I can't believe, you're teaching our girls to be this forward and this gross, and which actually proved the point, right, of the whole societal norm. I got their attention. And so for me, in that moment, I went and I got in my feelings for 2 days. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, man, I don't know why I'm doing this. This is terrible. Why this? Why was I given this portion? Right? And it really caused me to, really identify that I still struggle a little bit with trying to be pleasing to other people. I care a lot about what people think and what people say. Not as much as I used to, for sure. But that is a challenge, that I have. And I'm still, I tell people this all the time. I went to therapy. I got help. I started taking medication. I still take medication on a daily basis for the anxiety and the depression. Medication is not a cure-all. Medication is there to help you, but it's not a cure-all. So for me, I still have those triggers. I still have those moments when I'm incredibly weak and, anxious and, and tremoring and can't function and feel a certain kind of way. It's not as bad, but I still have those moments.
Yeah. So what's your go-to when you find yourself in the depths or grips of that? What's your go-to? Who's your go-to?
I think one of the things, right, that's helped me is just being aware that this is happening, right? Self-aware, okay. Right. So before I didn't know what it was, I wasn't diagnosed. But now that I have a diagnosis and I understand and to identify what these changes in my mood is, and so then I will, voice it to my husband and say, hey, I need a little break. You know what I mean? I need to, need some me time, or whatever. I also say, man, I need to really get in my yoga, start exercising a little bit more. So I'll go ride my bike, because I see it coming.
That's right.
So I just try to carve out more time for myself to where I can think and kind of get through that.
So, and I totally relate to that, is that each individual has to find out what works for them.
Absolutely.
Because just as I had to find and dig in. Medication doesn't always help, and I didn't like how some of the side effects that went along with medications. Yeah. So what I tell people is that you have to learn your body.
Yes.
And so by learning your body, when your body starts to send you these signals.
Yes.
And that's where I was talking about physical manifestations. You start to either get headaches, or you start to get tremors.
Muscle twitches.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of things
start happening, and then it's like, okay, I feel it coming, you see it coming, but then I went the extra step to help deal with it is what took place.
Yeah.
What just happened? What has happened?
What triggers you?
Place,
yeah.
What triggers? So learning your body and also learning your mental state is like what triggers these things.
Yeah.
And then even when they're triggered, it's a matter of, okay, I know it's coming.
Having the resources.
I have to be able to deal with it, and a lot of the time, you could say your friends, your families, I like reaching out. But it depends on who it is and what I'm going through and who I reach out at that time to.
Yeah.
Because you have to really be comfortable to open yourself.
Absolutely.
And be totally raw.
Yes.
I mean, raw.
Authentic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chanel has ended up being one of those people that I just recently started sharing that part of myself with her.
Yeah.
She earned it. She started earning it.
It was already written on the wall.
Yeah. So, but you do have to have that special, and you have to be ready.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I have, a community of people around me. I think that community and connection is really important with getting healthy, staying healthy. But you're right. You can't go around telling everybody your story. Not everybody has earned the right to hear the story. And I think, too, you have to be okay with that. And, you start finding out really quickly, who those people are in your life, when you start going through something like that. And sometimes the people who you thought aren't the ones. Exactly. And which is a blow too, So I think what you said, just being very aware of what triggered it, and then also your body and knowing what works for you.
We're going to get ready to take an identification break here. This is The Cell on WGRN 94.1 FM. We are so glad that you could join us here today. Once again, this is the Faith Thomas Foundation, and I'm hosting this event that we're talking to on the day here with Mental Health with Achea. But we want to let you know about some upcoming events that we have going on. On Saturday, June 16th, we happen to have our 4th annual bowling event, and it happens to be on Father's Day weekend. And if you still would like to come, give me a phone call. I still have some lanes available, so you can call us at call me at 614-746-5367, and see what we can work out, getting you, or your family still out there being able to bow. I have to know by Wednesday, so happens today of this radio show. If you happen to be listening, you have a few hours within to contact me once you hear the show taping. Also, what we have going on Friday, September the 7th, is our Red Diamond Gala. And we're hoping that you and everyone, our listeners, will come out and enjoy us. We'll have a nice day, a nice evening, shall I say. We'll be supporting it as a big fundraiser for OSU Medical and Nationwide Children's Hospital sickle cell programs. And in addition to that, after we do a little educating, we'll have a DJ there, and he will be dropping it like it's hot and everything. So we're hoping that you will come and enjoy a fun evening on Friday, September the 7th, which is also happen to be Sickle Cell Month. Okay, once again, we're here with Achea, and she's here to talk to us about, mental health in regards to depression and anxiety. And I need to share, there was one thing that when I met her that I didn't realize, and I knew that I had problems, and don't get funny, guys.
Yeah, you
that, okay? No laughs, no jokes.
Okay.
We all have problems.
Yeah,
okay.
I see you looking at me.
Yeah, I'm looking at you. That's right, Chanel. I'm looking at you. And Ernie, just sit over there and be quiet. Just produce. All right, but I didn't really look. And when she said that, mental health, and then she started talking about depression and anxiety, that was the first time. And my daughter's been dead for 17 years, but it still seems like yesterday. And just like you, Achea, I still suffer from anxiety, panic attacks, and depression. Every day, if not several times a day. It's just that people don't know that you're suffering from it.
Right.
However, I never thought about it as mental health. When I go back and I look through my whole journey from the point that I used to go to my doctor every day. When my daughter first died, I swear I paid that doctor every day because I wanted him to fix me. I wanted him to stop the pain.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going to therapy and things like that. But I never looked at it as me having a mental health issue or that anxiety or depression really was a mental illness.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I missed that. I really don't. When I go back and I look at it, I don't know how I missed it. The association of the two.
Well, I mean, in our culture, we're just not taught.
It's so stigmatized.
I mean, I think everybody, Felice. We all have times of anxiety, times of depression or depressed moments, right? But, the difference between somebody that has a moment of depression or a moment of anxiety, even like a moment of panic, and somebody who actually has an actual disorder is the frequency which it happens, and the thing that's triggering it. Like, for me, maybe mine was triggered or maybe started by a traumatic thing, but it just didn't have to have any reason. You know what I mean? I always felt like this pending doom over me.
That big
cloud that always preparing for something to happen. In particular, for me, the trigger is and has always been health. When I was younger, and this is very true, death was always used to manipulate me to behave a certain way, right? So now as an adult, I can look back and say, so when I say that, what I mean is like, oh, well, you better, watch how you treat me because I'm going to be gone one day. And so as a kid, when somebody you love says that to you, it puts that feeling in you of like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to disappoint them, or I'm scared of death. And so that triggered me. And
that's deep. It just made me think, as a child or teenager, you think your life hinges upon my behavior and who I am, and how I treat you. That's scary. That's a lot of weight to put on someone.
I mean, and I spend a lot of my time, like, I remember very, very distinctly, like, going into my mom's bedroom and just like watching her sleep just to make sure that her chest was moving up and down. Like, so this is when I tell you that, like, this is something that, though it may have come like to full fruition like in 2016 when I got diagnosed, I've had it my entire life. Do I believe I have a chemical imbalance? Absolutely. I believe that my body does lack the serotonin that, you know, I need. But I also think that there was also trauma that contributed to that. So yeah, I mean, I was very afraid of death. I was very afraid of my mom dying. I'm still, to this day, I am not that comfortable with it, you know, and I'm older.
So it sounds like we can be predisposed to it, right? Due to the imbalances, and then through experiences in our lives, it could be exacerbated or manifest in some way.
You're exactly right, Chanel. I was actually watching a TED Talk today, and, you know, it's really interesting because it is an illness. And it's not a weakness. No more than diabetes is a weakness. No more than cancer is a weakness, right?
Say that again.
You know, no more than sickle cell is a weakness, right? I mean, like, it is an illness. And the difference is that it is very comparative to sickle cells. I was telling you at the, you know, before, because you can't see it.
Exactly.
You cannot see it.
Yeah.
And so that's why people tend to, you know, kind of look at you some kind of way because you can't see it. But as you said, Chanel, very, very, very key to hear that we are, some of us, very much so predisposed to it. And which leads to the point then that we cannot pray it away. We cannot like act like it doesn't exist or not talk about it or, you know, just get over it. So literally when someone would tell me like to just relax, like I'm looking at them like, well, what does that even look like? I don't even know what that means. And so, you know, by the way, that is like the worst thing you can tell somebody when they're having a panic attack is just relax. Because they don't know what that looks like. Their brain does not register that.
I want to share what, you know, a panic attack or anxiety when it hits me. And I think I kind of wrote it down. But like you said, you can't see it. And if you're looking at me, you would not be able to see it unless I open my mouth and share it with you. But everybody has a, you know how dogs, you got a dog. And let's just say that dog gets scared of something. And then you see that dog put its tail between its leg. You see that dog start to tremble. You see that dog start to whine, even probably get ready to pee on itself. Because it is so scared. And then if the dog is able to find a hole to crawl into, and it will go into that hole, go into a corner, go into a hole which is deep and dark to get away from whatever that fear is. It will go there. And it won't come out. And that to me, and I was trying to think, how can I describe when I have anxiety, or how can I describe when I have a panic attack? I'm frozen. I'm frozen. It's like a block of ice, and I can't move. It's like your body's got straps and everything all around it, and you just can't move, think, don't feel like you can breathe or anything else. And then you have to mentally start talking yourself through in order for your body to release itself. But going back to the dog, it is just, that was the best thing that I could come up with. Is try to give somebody a visual of what it's like to go through my experience of what it's like to have a panic attack.
And for everybody is different and manifests in everybody's body differently, you know, in psychology. And I'm not a doctor, but I'm a graduate student in therapy. That's what I say to people. I'm a graduate student in therapy.
That's right.
I've been in therapy for at least 5 years or so. So one of the things that my therapist has taught me is so when you get like put back in a corner, you're having a panic attack, fight, flight, or freeze. So just really, Felice, you just kind of reminded me of that. So you say that you're frozen, right? So for me, it manifests in fright or fight. So when anxiety is coming to a head in me, I notice that I'm very irritable, I'm snappy, or I cry. So, it manifests in all different ways. But I will tell you this, that when you are in a full-fledged panic attack, you do feel like you're going to die. You feel like your chest, like something's very weighty on your chest.
Took an and insulin and injected it into you.
Yeah, yeah.
And all of a sudden your heart just like starts racing and
Yeah.
It's going to
injected
burst.
speed into you.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like
really quickly.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing for me is just, like, I haven't had one in a while. I think the last time I had one was probably in the spring. I was at the mall and there were so many people. And I'm not like a socially anxious person. That's not the stem or root of my anxiety. But I remember feeling like, oh my God, we gotta go. I gotta get out of here. Because it was just so much stimulus and so much going on that I just started to panic. And, it's the thing to remember when you're in the midst of a panic attack is that it will pass.
Yes.
And if you could just keep that in the forefront of your mind that it will pass, you will not die from it.
It took me a long time to learn
But
that.
in the moment, you feel as though, but if you could keep your mind there, then it will pass and then you'll be fine. So
like you say, picking up the phone and calling somebody and say, hey, I'm not feeling myself, or I'm not feeling a certain way, and I know that it's going to pass, and you like you say to that person, it's going to pass. I just need to speak it out. I just need to say it. And then once you say it, once you speak it out, by that time, most of the time, you've calmed yourself down.
Absolutely. Yep.
So during our break, we were having some great conversation, very enlightened, and you did a lot of research.
I did.
And I totally respect that, especially as it relates to sickle cell, because this is called the cell, right?
Yeah.
So we have sickle cell warriors that are hopefully listening, and those parents. And we know that not only are they dealing with pain and pain crises, they deal with anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
And you said something that was really profound, that in your research you found that they say the sickle cell and mental health or mental illness, so anxiety, depression are like Siamese twins, right?
Yeah, they're like, and they're very difficult to separate. So
well, we got to get ready to wrap the show up here a little bit, and what upcoming events do you have, Achea?
So it's on Fridays, once a month. I was going to say every Friday because really in my heart, I really want it to be every Friday because
it will be every Friday.
It will, yeah.
Speak those things.
Yes,
those
exactly. So, but coming up in July 20th, we're going to be discussing courage. I'm planning to have a guest speaker. Hopefully I do. If not, I'm going to be talking regardless. Just about how, I had to have courage to let go of certain relationships in my life to move forward. August 17th, we'll be talking about connection and community, how relationships are very important to heal and to stay healed. And then September 21st, creativity. That one will be very different because there's an artist that is also diagnosed with GAD who has used his art to help be a therapy to him, actually. So I'm excited. It's awesome.
Achea has agreed to come and do a part 2 with us because, like I said, this is a very serious subject here. And so with that being said, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. And like I said, stay tuned for part 2. Thank you, Ernie.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chanel.
Oh, don't mention it anytime.
It's awesome.
With that being said, peace out. Well, that's the end of today's show. I want to thank you for listening to The Cell on WGRN 94.1. You can find us on Facebook or at faiththomasfoundation.org for more information on our upcoming events. Join us every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. here on WGRN.